Since I've had over 40 tenants and I've been renting out my properties for quite a few years now, I thought it would be fun to share 20 different things I have learned about being a landlord and investing in rental properties. And by sharing these things, hopefully you can decide if you want to be a landlord as well. I am Tiffany Thomas with WealthyTiffany.com, and I achieved financial freedom mainly through real estate investing and became a millionaire. If you're looking to do one or both of those things, make sure and hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, and we're going to dive right in. The first thing that I have learned about real estate investing is that I love the cash flow that it creates, which you can probably guess. But I am so grateful that I decided to invest in real estate properties because that made a really big difference in me being able to become financially free at a young age and also become a millionaire. And if you are interested in how I was able to do that, I will leave a link above and below to another video. While yes, it does take work and effort to invest in real estate properties and rent those properties out, to me, it has been so worth it. And honestly, I would not change what I have done, except for maybe adding more properties early on. And even though it does take work, it does not take 40 hours a week, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. It is a lot more flexible, and while yes, sometimes you will get calls late at night, that doesn't happen very often. So I've been able to create passive income, or at least semi-passive income, by investing in real estate properties. Not only have I been able to create that passive income, but the properties that I have also appreciate over time. And the property that I sold recently, I had made double on that property for what I had bought it for. And it didn't take that long to double in value. And if you're curious to know more about that property that I sold and why, I have a video for you. I'll leave a link above and below. All right, now that we've covered the main reason for me investing in real estate, let's talk about the second thing that I learned. And this is that renters will not treat your property as well as you would. So if you can keep that in mind while you are investing in real estate and renting out your properties, you are going to be a lot better off and a lot less stressed out. When something is not someone's own, they just don't treat it as well as if it was. For example, you are going to find scratches in your flooring or paint chips off the wall, or it will just be a mess. And there may be even some extreme things like someone breaking a toilet and then letting that water run for hours throughout your house, and it's going through the lights and into the basement and flooding into the furnace room. Yes, that actually happened, but this has not happened with every tenant or in every property. It'll make it a lot easier if you can keep the mindset of that is a rental property, that is not a property that I am going to be living in. And that way you won't feel as bad when something gets ruined. The third thing that I have learned is to make sure and have a contract. We don't want just a verbal contract, we want a written contract. We want everything spelled out exactly how it should be. It will make things a lot easier going forward because there won't be a question on when rent is due, or if they have to pay the utilities, or if you are paying the utilities. If it is all written out in a contract and they've signed it and you've signed it, then those are the terms that you are agreeing to. So make sure and have a signed contract. And just an extra little tip for you, I like using DigiSigner. They give you a certain number of free signings that you can send out each month. So you don't have to pay for that service if you don't have a lot of renters. The fourth thing that I have learned by having rental properties is to make it as easy as possible for a tenant to get into a room. For example, when you show up to meet them, make sure that you have a contract. Well, I used to have a contract in my car, but since I've gone digital, make sure that you have easy access to that contract so that you can get that filled out as quickly as possible, and then they can sign it as quickly as possible. Have an easy way for them to give you a deposit. I let them use Venmo for the security deposit because most people have Venmo, so it's very easy for them to transfer that money to you. If they are waiting a while for you to get the contract over or for them to give you the security deposit, they may change their mind and find somewhere else to rent. Make it as smooth and easy as possible for them to get into the room. The fifth thing that I have learned about investing in real estate is that I don't like having carpet in my rental properties or even in the property that I am living in with roommates. Because also when you have someone moving out, you have to go in and clean the carpet, and there are sometimes random stains that I don't know how they got there and I cannot get them out. So having no carpet is what I definitely prefer. Also, it makes the home look nicer and a little bit newer, so you can charge a little bit more for your rooms. And if you're wondering what flooring I did put in, I put in a waterproof luxury vinyl plank flooring. And so far, I've liked it. And the sixth thing that I have learned by having rental properties is know what you are going to say no to and what you are going to say yes to. For example, if you know that you don't want someone that smokes in your place, then you know you're going to say no to a smoker. I had one guy come look at a property and it said right in the ad, no smoking, and he still came and looked and said, well, you know, I could just smoke out on the balcony, it'll be fine. And I knew I didn't want that, so I said no. That is my preference. I find it a lot easier to rent the rooms if it is a no smoking room or a no smoking house. Also, I don't want any pets, so pets are not allowed either. And I know people that like getting that extra deposit for having a pet or allowing a pet. But for me, I don't want the extra cost in cleaning up after a pet or scratches in my property that come along with some pets. So for me, I've chosen to go with no pets. Also, some people will try to negotiate with you. They may ask for a $25 discount on the price. So already know what you're going to say. If you want the property rented immediately, you don't have a lot of interest, then maybe you would be willing to go a little bit lower on the price. But if you are set at that price and you have other people that are interested, then you don't have to lower your price. So know what you are going to say no to and what you're going to say yes to beforehand. Then there's no hesitation and it's just a very quick no or a quick yes. Number 7 on my list of having rental properties is to always do a background and a credit check. I was using cozy.co for this, but they've switched over to apartments.com. So they can run a credit check and a background check for you. You just have to enter the tenant's email and their name, and then they send a link to them. They fill out the information and they pay for it right there on the website. So it's pretty easy for them to do. I would say it is definitely better for you to have a background and a credit check on someone that you are potentially going to rent to. And if there's something on there that you don't like, then you don't need to rent to that person. For example, I had a woman that was interested in one of my rooms and she seemed fine, so I had her do a background and a credit check. There was something on there that was bothering me, so I didn't end up renting to her. And also, when you are doing this, a lot of times people will tell you up front if there's going to be something on their credit check or background check. And then they will explain that situation to you and you can decide if it's still worth renting to them or not. But it's the ones that don't tell you up front that I worry about. Because honestly, the better tenant you have, the better experience you are going to have with renting out properties. The 8th thing that I have learned by renting out properties is that I don't like to do drama. I just don't. If I'm getting text messages from different tenants, especially where I rent by the room in a lot of my properties, instead of renting out the whole house, sometimes there is roommate drama. And if I get text messages from one of the tenants complaining about another tenant, I ask them to talk to each other, to work it out with each other. I am not their mother, I am their landlord. And I'm not going to play favorites or placate to someone. So just leave the drama out of it. And then number 9 is to set the rules in the beginning. Yes, you have a contract, but if you need to have an extra sheet with different rules on there, then do that up front and tell them what the rules are. If rent is due on the 1st and then there's a late fee if they pay on the 2nd, that's fine. Just tell them up front and put it in the contract. Or if you want to make sure the place is clean, then tell them that up front as well. I have a friend who manages rental properties and she has a very strict cleaning policy. So she tells people up front that there is the strict cleaning policy that they will need to keep the entire house clean. And if it is not clean to her standards, which she comes over every week or every month, I can't remember for sure, but she will come and actually check on the property, and if it's not cleaned up to her standards, what she has already told them, then she will hire a cleaning lady to come in and clean, and then they will have to pay for that. So whatever rules you want to implement, just put them in writing and make sure that everyone knows them up front. Item number 10 that I have learned from investing in real estate is to find a handyman if you are not handy. If you are handy, that is awesome and you can take care of a lot of things in your properties. But if you're not that type of person, then make sure you have a handyman beforehand, because that is going to make things a lot easier for you. And of course, a handyman may not be able to do all of the different projects, but he'll be able to do most of them, and usually he can recommend someone else that you can work with for a larger project. And I think this is one of the fears that people have about investing in real estate. They think, oh, what if something goes wrong? What if something breaks? I have to go over and fix it. But if you just have a handyman that you work with, then you can alleviate that fear. I had a great handyman for a while, and I would just tell him, oh, such and such has gone wrong at this property, so he would go over there, fix it, and I would pay him for it. It was very simple. You can find a good handyman by asking other people who they use, or even if some of your friends are handymen. And another thing you could do is check KSL if you live in Utah, or Craigslist if you live somewhere else, and there could be someone that is listing their services on there for handyman staff. And I like supporting those smaller local businesses more than the larger businesses. Number 11 of investing in rental properties is to realize that things are going to come up that aren't expected. So if you can kind of expect the unexpected, you're going to be a lot better off. For example, the air conditioning unit is eventually going to go out if you have your property long enough, or the furnace could go out, or a water heater could start leaking. There's just all different things that happen with owning properties. So if you realize that something unexpected will eventually happen, and you are prepared for that, you have a savings for that, then you can take care of that pretty easily. And you won't be nearly as stressed because you are expecting the unexpected. And then the 12th thing that I have learned by investing in real estate is that if someone doesn't want to be living in your property, don't make them live there. And I'm not just saying let them off the hook right away and super easily, but don't make them stay longer than necessary, because they will make your life a nightmare. I have in my contract that they can pay 2 months worth of rent and get out of their contract early, or they can find someone else to take over their contract as long as I approve that person. Because honestly, if they don't want to be living there anymore, then they are going to be sending you a lot of text messages or calling you a lot and have a lot of complaints, and it's just not worth it to you, especially if you have found good properties that are pretty easy to rent. And that is actually number 13. Buy good properties in good locations. That's what's worked well for me. I have found that it is easier to find good tenants if the property is good in a good location. And for me, that means that the location is safe, it is close to shopping, it's close to the canyons, it's close to the freeways, so it makes my properties pretty easy to rent out. And then item number 14 for investing in real estate is to be proactive. And I'm actually still learning this lesson. I am not the best at being proactive, but by being proactive, I'm talking about taking care of things in advance. For example, you can have a checklist of things that need to be done on your property every year or every 6 months. For example, the furnace needs to be tuned up, or the air conditioner unit needs to be cleaned, or just doing a simple check on all of the locks or doors or whatever it might be. But just being proactive and making sure that things are being taken care of in your properties so that you don't have some major incident later on. And if you are being proactive and tuning up your furnace, it doesn't mean that you'll never have to replace your furnace, but you can have an idea on when you will need to replace your furnace. The 15th thing that I've learned by investing in real estate is to not hold a room without a deposit. There have been people that have changed their minds, and I've turned away other people because I already had the deposit and they had agreed to move into the room. But when they changed their mind, they did not get their deposit back because it clearly states in my contract that if you do not move in, the security deposit is non-refundable. So make sure you aren't just saying, oh, I'll hold the room for you without getting a deposit. Number 16 is realize that people are not going to change. And this kind of goes against what I believe in, because I believe in making progress and improving yourself. But with tenants, from what I have seen, if they start out paying you late, they will continue to pay you late. If they keep the place messy, they're going to continue to keep the place messy. So realize that in the beginning, and if they want to renew and you don't want the hassle of them being late with rent every month, then don't renew the contract with them. I learned this lesson the hard way. I had a tenant who had paid me and then she got behind, and we had worked out a plan for her to pay the late fees. And she kept saying, I'll pay, but she wasn't really changing, and I ended up taking her to small claims court. And actually that situation is still going on because she ended up declaring bankruptcy multiple times. So once that is finally resolved, if you want me to do a video about that, comment below and let me know. So while yes, I like giving the benefit of the doubt to people, but I also have to realize that they are most likely not going to change, and I want to be paid what we agreed upon. Number 17 is to get organized and stay organized. So I have a separate Google sheet for each of my properties properties, and it shows the income and all of my expenses and any amounts that I have spent, the mileage I've driven, and I just keep those up to date. And because they are Google Sheets, I can access them on my phone. So if I am at the store at Home Depot buying a part for something, I can actually open up my Google Sheets app and put in Home Depot, what the mileage is, and the cost and what it was for. It will make it a lot easier when you are about to do your taxes if you stayed organized throughout the whole year. And you don't have to use Google Sheets. You can use what works for you. Apartments.com has an electronic system that you can enter in all of those things just right on their platform, so you can keep all of your information there if that works best for you. But just make sure you are organized in the beginning and then keep it organized throughout. The 18th thing that I have learned by investing in rental properties is to keep doing what works and then change what isn't working. For example, if you keep getting the same question over and over again, maybe about when rent is due, then update your contract so it states it very clearly or it's in bold, right? Whatever is working, keep with that and then change what's not working. If there are other questions that your tenants keep asking, then add it into your contract or create some document for them. If you keep getting an error with the payment system you're using, then change your payment system. For another example, I used to like having a copy of the contract in my car, which I would bring with me every time I would meet a tenant, like I mentioned before. But that just seemed kind of cumbersome and I hated printing out my long contract. So I found a way to do that electronically. I send them a link to the contract and then they just do the initials and signature, and I have it all in there, so it's very easy for them to sign the contract. And I've created little templates for myself, so when I send an email to someone that's about to sign a contract, I just put my template in there, and it's usually just some bullet points that I want to highlight about the contract. For example, when rent is due, how much it is, and what the late fees are. And then if we did a year contract, what the fee is to go month to month later on, things like that. So I just try to make it as easy as possible for myself and for the tenant. And then the 19th thing that I have learned by investing in real estate, by having rental properties, is that things don't have to be perfect. For example, the property doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be up to my standards because I'm not living there. It can be good enough. When I bought my condo back in 2015, I was thinking, oh, I should probably do a fresh coat of paint and the bathrooms need some updates. But the real estate agent that came with my sister, actually, he had said, oh, I would rent this out as is. Like I would get tenants in as soon as possible. And I thought, okay, perfect. So that's what I did. And I did do some updates later on, but I just got it rented. It wasn't perfect, but it was definitely rentable. I'm not sure if that's a word, but it is now. And I'm just gonna throw in an extra tip here. One thing that I wish I would have done is to have all of my properties painted the same color and just one color. The house that I used to live in, I had painted that, and I decided to do the kitchen one color, the living room another color, a certain wall a different color, the ceiling a different color upstairs and downstairs. There were so many colors in that house, and then when I moved out and kept it and then rented it out, I thought, oh man, I wish that property was just one paint color. It would simplify things. So just having one paint color for each property at least, but all of the properties would be ideal. And if there's little things that need to be fixed, they don't have to all be fixed at once, unless of course the lock is broken on the door or if it's something major. But if it's just little things, then you can do just a few of those one month and then a few the next month. It doesn't have to be all perfect all at once. And then the 20th thing that I have learned by investing in real estate is to keep your end goal in mind. I wanted to create that cash flow to become financially free. So when the unexpected did come up and it stressed me out, I was able to take a step back and think, all right, what's my end goal? Is this still worth it? Yes, it is still worth it. I will definitely buy a new air conditioner for this property, or I will buy a new furnace for this property. I will take care of all the little things or the kind of big things that come along with owning properties, because for me, it's totally worth it. And I don't want a whole bunch of properties. I just want enough properties that I can manage myself and create enough cash flow for me to be financially independent. So think about why you are investing in real estate or why you would be investing in real estate and then keep that in mind as problems come up. But it can definitely be worth it if you know what your end goal is. Comment below and tell me if you are going to invest in real estate, or if you already are investing in real estate, tell me the lessons that you have learned by investing in real estate properties. And if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and share it with someone else who would like to hear this information, and hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hit the little bell to get notified on when I post new videos. And if you want to see even more content from me, check out the videos on the side of the screen. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.